How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'll see what you guys got.
How'd the first week go?
I'm pleased with the first week. I mean, it's been a real challenge in terms of what we've asked them to do. We've taken a ton of reps, ending with like now the new rules now you can only have 2 scrimmages in preseason where you tackle over 50% of the time. So we ended with like a simulated scrimmage with some tackling, but not over nearly 50%. So really pleased. I think we're getting a lot of reps and the guys are working really hard. I'm really pleased with our toughness. Really pleased with our mindset. Amy. That's okay. No, please.
Thoughts on yesterday's realignment with Oregon and Washington coming into the league?
Yeah, I really have no thoughts, honestly. Like, obviously I trust the leadership. I trust the Big Ten, Tony Petitti. Trev is awesome, right? He's so communicative and all those things. So I'm kind of in my own little bubble right now, so I'm still worried just about our team, making sure that I think the key for all teams right now is as realignment happens in the coming years. I mean, who knows what the future is going to hold, making sure that my job is to make sure that University of Nebraska is relevant nationally. And so I just have a lot of trust in the Big Ten and the leadership, and I think it's, the dominant conference in college football. And so we'll play wherever they tell us to play.
Matt, how's it look at that safety spot with Miles moving on, but also Marquise with the injury as he's rehabbing? What's that look like right now?
I think the safeties are one of our strengths. Isaac Giffords, I mean, he's an alpha back there right now. He's had an amazing summer. The jump that I've seen Giff make, his mentality, you don't really realize until we did timing day how athletic he is, he's a 35-inch vertical, 10.5 broad, 4.5 guy. I mean, he's a multi-year probably NFL player, in terms of his talent. And his mindset's come a long way with it in terms of just taking control back there. Deshaun Singleton's playing really well. Omar Brown. We got a lot of guys back there, and I'm really pleased with the young guys, the young people we've brought in. So I think we have a lot of players who can play. We have a lot of flexibility. Tommy Hill's probably the turnaround guy from the time I got here till now. He's become one of the leaders, I think, on the defense. And so we have between Newsome, him, and Hartzog, we have some guys that can play multiple positions as well. So I like our strength in the secondary. I think we're going to be really good.
Not to go name by name, but Corey Collier, how's he done?
Corey's doing okay. Yeah, Corey's doing well. Corey's got a ton of football in him. We just got to get it out of him. Got a little bit banged up today at practice. Came back out there. So, I'm probably not in a position right now, 5-6 days in, to start talking about this guy's doing better than this guy. There's a couple guys, obviously, that the work through the summer really stands out, like I mentioned, Giff. But, Kobe, Brett's, all those guys back there. We trust them all to go play. Ashton Houseman's, another guy. He's an unbelievably good tester, and you give him an opportunity back there, he does a good job. So I think we have a lot of depth in the secondary.
How's the picture along the defensive line? You've got a couple of returners there, but you also have some guys that are just new, that just got here, and then you also have some freshmen. But, do you have a sense of how many you want to rotate there and how those players are looking?
Yeah, my message to the team last night was like, hey, I told all the coaches, I don't need GMs. Now is not the time to GM. Now's the time to coach and coach them like they're your own sons. Don't worry about the depth chart. Just coach everybody. So, on the D-line, injuries usually set, you start saying, hey, it'll be this guy, and then it becomes someone else because of injuries. I thought Brody was poised to have a breakout year, and then he got banged up, right? So I think the thing is, Ty Robinson, obviously is an established player. Blaze is a guy that, I think has played a lot of football, that's going to have his best days are ahead. Nash is a, kind of a guy we trust. But some guys have really come on, Sam, like Ruquan Buckley. It's just a testament to, like, don't see people for what they are, see them for what they could be, and then trust your strength staff. Like Corey and his strength staff, Kristen and our nutrition staff have done an amazing job this summer. Our lateral movement and our movement skills are significantly improved from where they were. Like at the end of spring, things I was concerned about was one of them. And Ruquan has made a huge jump. So we've got a lot of really good young players, that are going to come on, I think we'll end up having like 6, 7, 8 guys that can play for us on the D line, and some other young players, like the Lenharts and the Prince Wills, they're ready to play. Some of the other guys that just showed up, the Van Poppels, the Vincent Carrolls, we're just going to get those guys ready. So if it's early in the season, great. If it's late, great. So I think we have a lot of depth, but to your point, they're all sort of unproven. That's why we practice the way we practice. We're getting between 150 and 190 reps every practice. So no one's standing around. We're all moving, and guys are getting better quickly.
Back to Gifford, is is it more of a safety discussion with him now than Rover? Was he playing Rover?
Yeah, I mean the Rover's a safety in my mind. Like, like we go to the post player. He's going to be in the post. Like, before he was playing like that nickel Sam in last year's defense. He's not that. I mean, he's in the back end, so he might drop down in the box. He might be a deep third player. He might be a half player. He might be playing man. So, to me, Giff gives you the ability to play all of those positions, right? So, obviously he was in a battle in the spring. He's the guy right now, and we're trying to get the other guys behind him ready to push him, and we'll always just play the best three safeties.
What's been the process in getting Teddy Prohaska back into playing shape and the state of your left tackle position right now?
Yeah, Teddy got banged up again, so Teddy's out for a little while right now. Nothing long term, but he's banged up, unfortunately. He'll be ready. We think he'll be ready for the first game. So we're working Turner, we're working Gunner, we're working all those guys on the O-line. And then we're going to get Teddy back as soon as possible.
Go back to the safeties. What kind of role do you anticipate Phelan Stanford playing?
Phelan is running with the ones and the twos right now. Really one of the fastest guys on the team. Really, really dependable, physical. So he's another guy that's in the mix. And then I think an excellent special teams player as well. So, I'm not looking at depth charts at all right now. I'm sort of just trying to get everyone ready, and then we get to that third week. That's when we start sort of. My history has been, every year that I've been a head coach in college, someone that started the year off on the scout team was starting for me by the end of the year. And every year I've been a head coach in the NFL, a guy that we cut ended up starting. So I'm really big on coaching everybody. I'm not here just to coach. So, Eric Fields, I'm trying to get him ready to be a starter. Dwight Boodle, I'm trying to get him ready to be a starter. And if they are, they are. If they're not, then they'll be that much better when their time does come.
You have 6 or 7 scholarship freshman receivers you brought in. What have you seen from that group? What kind of opportunity could be there for a couple of those guys?
Well, they're really fast. All right, our young guys are unbelievably fast. There's a lot of volume in our offense. There's a lot to learn, and so they're learning that pretty quickly, right? I need to learn all this stuff. But they're a tough group. They're physical. Really proud of a lot of them today. They're out there battling through. It's hot. We've been in the mornings. It hasn't been real hot, and all of a sudden today it was hot. We don't practice inside. We practice outside. So they're learning to adjust to this. I think a couple of those guys, might help us. They're going to push to help us. We have some older established guys who played a lot of football, like Marcus and Billy and Fleeks and all those guys. But we're going to count on some of those young players. I think the key in our receiver room right now is there's a couple guys like Ty Hahn and Alex Bullock who are, and some other guys that are really, really good football players, really dependable. Like, I challenge Alex all the time. Like, he's not a walk-on. He's a guy that just came here as a walk-on. He's a starting receiver, I believe. So, the young players, they're fast, they're explosive, they're dynamic. We're going to have an unbelievable receiving core with those guys at some point. It's just how fast they can learn this and handle the bumps and bruises of camp. They're trending in the right direction, though.
Coach, when you put the guys in the dorms, there was a big emphasis on team building, and you kind of matched them up with guys who didn't really know each other. I know it's only been a week, but have you seen the impact on the field at all with how the dorms are going?
I don't know if it shows up on the field necessarily. I think we talk a lot about champions act like champions before they're champions. That's Bill Walsh. They have a winning standard of performance before they're winners. So I'll challenge them that's what I said to the team. What are some ways that you see us winning and we haven't won yet? Out on the scoreboard. And some of the guys talked about being in the dorms. Seeing guys talk to each other. Young guys impacting older guys impacting young guys. They're pranking the coaches. They're playing cards. I sent a group back last night early. Some of the older guys back early last night. Kept the second and third guys there. Sent the ones back and said, you can't be on your phones. Go back, play cards, do whatever. Gus Felder and his staff for us do an amazing job of integrating that in. So I think all of us can't wait to go back to our own beds, but I think we'll miss the time together. I walk over there every night and walk back in the morning. It's a pretty cool thing to see. And I think that's really the message for us right now is we're not trying to win the preseason. We're not trying to win the propaganda. We're trying to act like winners before we are winners. We're doing scout special teams yesterday. Nick Henrich is a multi-year starter, right linebacker, coming off a torn ACL, and he's running down on scout kickoff. Luke Reimer, all Big Ten players, running down on scout kickoff to give the twos a look. And I'm sitting there like, man, these guys, they sure deserve to win. So we just have to maintain that. So the dorms have been really good. Very grateful to housing because I feel like it's bringing our team closer. And I don't know if it'll show up, to be honest with you, until you have some adversity, right? When everything's going well, you don't really need a lot of leadership. It's really going to be when things get hard on the sideline, are we throwing our helmets and yelling at each other, the coaches yelling at each other, or are we kind of like, hey, I got your back, if you got mine, let's go. So that's the type of team that you'll see it in tough moments.
Can you go back for a second to Teddy? You said he's going to be ready for the first game, and then also are there any other injuries that you can report that will linger into the season?
I don't think anything's going to linger in the season. We have some guys banged up right now. Obviously, you guys will see on Tuesday. Me doing off the top of my head's tough. I'm sorry, but Teddy's a significant one. Teddy and Jacob Hood right now aren't practicing on the O-line. We think he has a chance to be ready for the first game, if not, definitely the second game. So, I'm trying to think of anybody else. Marcus Washington should be ready to go full go on Monday, so we'll have him back, which will be great. But in terms of anything like long term, we don't say anything like that other than Brody.
How good is it that, Turner, he's played the position a long time, so he knows how to play tackle. You don't have to teach him. How helpful is it that he has that experience?
Yeah, and I love Teddy, and I know he's done. Since I've been here, Turner's been left tackle with the ones every day since I've been here, so that's what I know, right? So I just feel bad for Teddy because he's such a wonderful young man and wonderful teammate, and he was, excited to get out there and get going. But you know what? I remember when Brody got hurt, and the Tagovailoa family flew out here. I was sitting down with his father and mother, and his father was talking. He told me, he said something that impacted me. You learn a lot from listening to people and parents. His father, was talking to Brody about embracing the delay. Sometimes there's a delay in what we want. You have to embrace it. It's really good for me to hear. And so I think Teddy's going to come back better than ever. But yeah, Turner's an excellent player. And, we have some young old linemen that have shown up, like the Sledge. Catula was here in the spring, but those young guys, they're going to be good players. Grant Seagren walked on. He's a scholarship-type player. So we got some guys that are going to help us.
Hey, Coach, on the off day, what is the schedule? Like, players, are they not allowed to leave? And what do you do on an off day Sunday with the team when they're on campus?
You're allowed like 2 hours with them, so we'll meet in the morning. We'll encourage them to recover. Our team does a great job of recovering and regenerating. So, Mitch will make sure that, there's massage and chiro and all that stuff available, ice tubs, cold tubs. So we'll have a bunch of recovery stuff, obviously they can leave if they want to go to church. Yeah, they can leave. They will give them their car keys back. And so if they want to go to church or they want to go out, go to the mall, they want to go to a movie, they can do all those things. We just, they'll have to be at breakfast. They have to be at meetings. They have to be at, they'll take lunch with them or get it on the way out, and then they have to be back for dinner and curfew. So, when you're in the NFL, they'll have a day off, and, it'll be a full day off, but they can go out. So everything we try to do is just getting them ready for the next level, so they can do those things. They can, they can do whatever they want. Just have to be back in time and be ready to go on Monday. And then coaches will work in the morning, and then I always encourage the coaches. I don't have my family here yet. I don't even have a house yet, so I'm going to stay in the dorms. I might go see Oppenheimer. I heard that that's good. So, but other than that, coaches will work. The coaches have been grinding. They're here late every night, so it's always good for them to see their families because it's another week. And week 1's down, week 2 comes up, so I want to make sure we hit it running.
I know you're focused on getting prepared for Minnesota, but I did want to go back to Oregon and Washington for a second. You already knew that USC and UCLA were coming into the league. Now with 2 more West Coast teams coming in, it gives you an opportunity to have more of an anchor recruiting out there. I'm just curious, what you think of Nebraska's prospects of being able to recruit on that side of the country more than maybe they have in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I think for us, we've been going out there. We're trying to establish ourselves out there. There's a lot of people. When I was in Baylor, there was a lot of people in California that, because of whatever tax reasons or they wanted to kind of go to Texas, right? So there's a lot of people I think in Texas that play football, or California that play football, and so we'll continue to recruit the West Coast. Before I took this job, I went one day and did a little thing at CBS. I was talking to Trent Green, the old quarterback, and he said something to me. He said, Matt, I live in Kansas City because I'm doing NFL games every week, and I didn't want to be in New York having to fly, so I'm kind of in the middle of the country, and I'm going here and I'm going there. And I think as the Big Ten's become the national conference, and it stretches from East Coast to West Coast, we're in a pretty good spot geographically where teams are going to have to come here and play in cold temperatures, have to play in the wind. We're going to have, a 2.5-hour flight here, a 2.5-hour flight here, but I think the impact for the sports on the West Coast flying to the East Coast, and more importantly, the East Coast flying to the West Coast, you're on the East Coast and you fly to the West Coast, some teams will try to go a day early, but the research says it's a day per time zone. So you go to the East Coast, you fly to the West Coast, and then you come back, you get back at 5 in the morning. It takes you usually till the next Thursday to get ready for that, right? So, I think it's going to be great for our Olympic sports, okay, because we're going to have the ability. There's a lot of great schools we can play here, but think about having to go do a weekend run in softball, and you're in the West Coast, having to go all the way to the East Coast and come back. Where our Olympic sports and our, I don't know what the other, basketball, whatever, they're able to go to the East Coast, the West Coast. It's manageable trips instead of 5 and 6 hour trips that other teams are going to have to do. So I think this broadening of the conference could be really good for the University of Nebraska because we're central and we're in the middle of it. And the weather will be good in football for us, but also just the travel will be more manageable than maybe some of the other teams. So all you Olympic sport athletes, come to Nebraska.
All good.
Thanks, guys. Oh, yes, sir.